In the context of industrial countries, Marxist analysis highlights the alienation of the proletariat. But this alienation becomes even more stark for non-European peoples, forced into a world system where the fruits of our labour, the vast productive forces of modern industry, turn against us. It's colonial oppression attempting to dehumanize us. Even paternalistic attitudes from the left reinforce this. In resisting this alienation, we become key agents for rehumanizing society. Yet in the myth of colonialism, we are depicted as non-human, and thus justifiably colonized. Meanwhile, capitalism, that very alien force, is portrayed as a humanizing influence. This is where Eurocentrism distorts history. European dominance and thought is presented as natural, as though it's the inevitable course of history. But this is the myth that justifies colonialism, an ideological tool to cover up the real relationship between class and race. Hegel, for instance, claimed that Africa has no history and did not contribute to anything that mankind enjoyed. This racist framework plays a central role in his philosophy. And any critique of Hegel, from a truly dialectical materialist perspective, must address this foundational racism. But the national liberation movements challenge this entire narrative. They bring to light two critical ideas. First, colonialism and slavery are essential elements in the rise of capitalism. Second, the history of non-European societies, though interrupted by colonialism, is now reasserting itself through the anti-colonial struggle. These ideas not only develop communist theory, but also subvert the ruling class's ideology, Eurocentrism, that supports colonial domination. However, this expansion of revolutionary ideology isn't smooth. It faces resistance not just externally, but also from within. Even when liberation movements have reached a point where they can push through against imperialist obstacles, they're often misunderstood as merely a reaction to capitalism, when they've always existed as the opposite force to colonialism. Lenin saw this coming. One danger for communist parties in metropolitan countries was the acceptance of their own colonialism. Lenin warned against any imperialist attitude, even in small actions towards non-Russian nationalities. From his deathbed, he cautioned, "It would be unpardonable opportunism if, on the eve of the debut of the East, just as it is awakening, we undermined our prestige with its peoples, even if only by the slightest crudity or injustice towards our own non-Russian nationalities." And there is the limitation of the Eurocentric left, clearly not heeding Lenin's warning, with these paternalistic attitudes against us, that we are uneducated and are in need of their enlightenment. However, this is incredibly flawed. For Māori, our understanding of dialectical materialism has deep roots. Whakapapa, the genealogical connections between people, land, ancestors, and the natural world, shows an inherent understanding of interconnectedness and continuous development over time. These principles align closely with dialectical materialism. Utu, atua, waiadua, the natural, economic, and spiritual conditions that shape social systems reflect the foundational material base upon which tikanga, the superstructure, is built. It governs human conduct, systems, and relationships. Māori systems understand contradictions and the processes to resolve them. Utu, the reciprocal relationships within society, act as catalysts for societal synthesis. Much like the dialectical process, through these systems, contradictions are resolved, balance is achieved, and societal development continues. I think it's less that I need to learn a Marxist analysis, but that Eurocentric leftists need to learn an indigenous analysis before assuming we are uneducated